Hello everyone. Today we're going to take a look at the music that I made for the musical Warp Drive trailer, which you might have seen. If not, I'll link that below as well. Yeah, let's just take a listen to it first and then we can talk about it. I think you're going to like it. Okay, so like I said, this was created for the trailer for musical Warp Drive, which if you don't know is a course that I have available on Udemy. It's all about composition, music theory and composition. And yeah, this was the music I made to go behind me speaking and all that for that trailer. So you can check out the link in the description if you want to see the course. The trailer is there as well, and all the info you need is there for a discount on the course and all that good stuff. So of course for the course, I wanted to make something that was cool and funky and all the stuff that I like, video gamey, whatever, but also not so distracting that you can't talk over it, depending on what's needed. So anyway, we're going to break it down from the beginning, looking at the instruments and what they're playing, and then some of the mixing stuff and production stuff and whatever. So let's just get into it. We're going to start with the intro here, and it's pretty, bombastic intro. We'll just take a quick listen. Right, so I was looking for something like that, right? I wanted something that was just going to be in your face off the bat, like wow kind of thing. And a few moving parts here. The first is this 3-part harmony happening on top. This is 3 monophonic synths playing from Omnisphere that each have a slightly different tone. Right, very slightly different tone. They're pan, center, left, and right. And they're playing 3-part harmony as opposed to thinking in a chordal sense. I often like to think in this more classical way of taking monophonic instruments, or an orchestral way, you could say, taking monophonic instruments and harmonizing them in multiple parts to get harmony, to get chords, rather than playing just chords. Of course, I play just chords all the time as well, but also I love this kind of thing. So let's take a listen to each of these harmony lines independently and see what's going on. So if we open up the center channel here, I'll just put a loop around this, and we'll solo it. So the whole idea is the intro is in E Lydian. So the key center is E, and the mode is Lydian, and basically these 3 parts are just playing a harmonized E Lydian scale, and I began with this melody. And then I add something. So we can add the left track here. We can just hear it actually in solo. And the right track. So we start with the center, and then we'll add in the left and right track as well. So we can view them all together like this. Here's the center one. And then we'll bring in the left one. That's that there. and then bring in the right one. Pretty pleasing to listen to, I think. If we take out the center one. Right, so together they create this cascading E Lydian sound. That's the idea. And we know it's E Lydian because there's a bass underneath that's just smashing E. If we take a listen to that here. This is a serum sound that I made for this part. And what you're hearing modulating there is just the down sample of the distortion unit here. You can watch the little blue thing on the knob. So we're modulating the amount of down sample and modulating the mix to keep it clean enough to have a good balance. So together, when we have these three parts and the bass, we get the drone in the bottom holding down the E, which gives meaning to all the top parts. Like this. The top parts also all run up a Lydian scale very, very fast. You would never know it's Lydian, of course. It's kind of like this. Right. So that's that stuff. Then we have this, what I call bit lead, whatever, 8-bitty kind of, I'm just thinking 8-bit for all this stuff for some reason. Video game, you know, that's what I like. And so here's the lead melody. And it has a harmony line as well, of course. So together we get this. So it's a kind of counterpointy thing in the sense that they don't always move, you know, in a similar way. Sometimes one's moving up, the other's moving down, vice versa. Sometimes they're in close harmony, like third, then they skip to a sixth. All this kind of stuff happens. So if you track the bottom voice here, the bottom line, and compare it to the top line, you can kind of see how sometimes they diverge. Sometimes one note is holding while the other one moves multiple notes. We'll just listen once more, and now you can take a listen to that aspect of it. So that combined with the little melodies and the bass, that's all the musical elements going on. Then there's just drums, you know, just big hits happening. So all together with the hits, with the lines, with the everything, we get this. Now we have the kind of main beat. So let's draw a loop around this and take a look at what's going on. First of all, we have the same three harmony parts. There's the first. This is outlining a C sharp minor, minor 7 add 11, basically. A C sharp minor 7 add 11 chord. And they're all playing kind of various notes from that chord, harmonizing in three parts. Here comes the next part. And the next part as well. So you really get the feel of the chord, right? With the three monophonic lines outlining the chord tones. And then the chord changes to like an F sharp 6-9. Basically, F sharp 6 add 9, which is, we're in the key of C sharp minor now. It starts in E Lydian, and then we kind of modulate to the relative minor, which is C sharp minor. And there we go in kind of a funk fashion from a 1 chord to a 4 major chord. 1 minor, 4 major, back and forth. That's the two chords happening here. 1 minor, 4 major. That's the idea, a Dorian thing. So E Lydian to C sharp Dorian. Those are kind of like relative modes, you could say. The same set of notes, just different key centers. Then underneath that, or with that, or whatever, we have a chord that is a chord sound that's hitting those chords. This is a serum patch. And along with that, we have the same patch playing in a more subtle way that pulses underneath. So this is playing the full chord, C sharp minor 7 out 11, F sharp 6 9, and then the ones below are playing the same thing except without roots. So they're a bit thinner sounding. And of course they have a filter drawn down on them a little bit so that it's more subtle. Then we have a bass line here, which I guess we'll listen to this first before the drums. So as I do a lot of the time, I'm trying to emulate some of the both tone and playing techniques of real bass playing, like electric bass playing. So we have these kind of octaves that are very short, muted notes to give a rhythmic kind of feel. So it kind of acts like a drum. Again, this is a bass patch I made in Serum. And together with the drums, we can bring those in here. Actually, I should say the drums are 2-part. I have battery 4, which is running my samples, very few samples in here. And then I have addictive drums 2, which is running the hi-hats and maybe a couple other little things to get a more realistic sound. So yeah, in addictive drums, here's the hi-hat pattern. Let's just group these together so that you can see them all together. It's kind of interesting. So just a variation of closed hats and open hats and some little whatever fills in there just to make it funky. And from there, that's basically the whole bit. Ah, no, there's one more thing. There is these little blips that kind of serve as the melody, you could say. Put them with let's put them with everything. You can hear it now. Here's the whole section with the blips on top. So I'm thinking a lot of the time about letting the instruments breathe between each other. We have these guys descending all at once before the blips even come in, right? So these guys descend and they leave room for this. So there's no confusion about where the melody is, so to speak. Along with the descending things, the chord hits, so it kind of works together. Might sound like the chord is slightly late because of the way the filter's moving on it, but that's intentional. With the kick drum, with the side chaining, it kind of will sound like it gets squeezed out of the kick drum rather than being right on the beat, right? And then the pulses work also in between the blips. Timing sounds really weird without the drums and everything, but that's fine. We put them all together once more. At the end of this section, we have a little bass run, little bass lick. We'll just listen to it in context and I'll show you what's going on there. Coming up here. So instead of using like a big drum fill, I decided to more use a bass fill, and we take the bass out of its normal range. So here it is soloed. So it just, yeah, it lets the low end breathe for a little bit because all the sub-frequencies are gone. The bass is in a new range, get a kind of new tone, and everything is descending into the beginning of the next section. So the next section is like kind of a breakdown. It's also in C sharp minor, maybe not C sharp Dorian anymore, more like actually C sharp minor. We have an A major 7th chord and a B6 or a B add 9. I can't remember exactly what it is. It sounds like this. So the harmony is being outlined in a variety of ways. We have this cello, let's call it that, some kind of stringed thing from Omnisphere that's being run through a pattern generator that's kind of randomized, as well as a filter that I'm sweeping up and down, and you get this sound. It's the A major 7, B add 9, or B sus, and this is F sharp dominant, basically, F sharp 7. Then it switches into C major 7 here, D 6/9, on its way to E major or E Lydian, which happens right here. It's kind of a cliche way to do that, right? Going like C, D, E, but that's what I wanted. I wanted a kind of like, wah, big finale thing to happen there. So this is like, I don't know, the classic way to do that, I would say, in my mind anyway. So those chords are going on. We're also outlining the chords using a kalimba, two kalimbas, pan left and right. Here's one of them. And so this is playing like just little bits, some of the notes of a chord. This is of the A chord, 7, 1, and 9. Of the B chord, it's 5, 1, and 9, or 2. And of the F sharp chord, it's 9, 3, and 5, with a 7, flat 7 up there as well. That gets harmonized with the second kalimba line. There we go. And that one is just grabbing different notes from the chord. And together. So stereo panning, very textural sound, right? Harmonized, all the stuff I like all together. Right? Of course, all this stuff, the kalimbas and everything, they also will reflect the last two chords, the C and the D, when that comes in. Underneath that, we have this pulse bass, as I call it, and it's actually a polyphonic bass patch, you could say. So it can play multiple notes at once, not just monophonic like most basses. The lower line is actually the bass line, A, B, and F sharp. The upper line is a harmony line playing, in this case, it's a fifth, so A and E. In this case, it's a third, B and D sharp. And in this case, it's also a fifth, F sharp and C sharp. So the upper line is descending, the lower line is ascending, and then comes down. So together we get this sound. It's going to repeat here, and then it's going to swap to the C and the D, which are harmonized in thirds or in tenths, or whatever you want to call it. This is going to be C and E coming up to D and F sharp. A little pitch bend at the end there. Yeah, so all that stuff is working together. The last two chords are accentuated by a pad that comes in, which sounds like this. So it's playing a bunch of kind of chord tones of these, the C and the D. I consider them kind of a magical sound, right? You're not expecting to hear that. The C is out of the key, and if you're in the key of C sharp minor, you're not going to hear a C major chord so often. So it appears non-diatonically all of a sudden, and to put this magical sound in, I think adds to it a little bit. The notes it's playing are B, D, F sharp, and G, which the chord is a C. So this is the 7, the 9, the sharp 11, and the 5. And then the D chord, we're playing the 5, the 9, the 3, and the 6. So no root again in there. The root's being covered by the bass, of course. We don't need to be touching it up here. Yes, and the last thing is these little 8-bit harmony things. They also come in at the end. They sound like this. Just arpeggiating the C and the D. And as you can hear, there is a tempo change automated here right at the end, which swells us, de-swells us, does whatever happens there, melts us into the final chord. And the final chord is actually created in a separate session. It's called Digital Wash here. It's, yeah, kind of a big E Lydian type chord with like a 6 and a 9 and a sharp 11 and all that in it, and played through a digital sound, shifting a down sample like we did in the beginning. I just try to think of like the nicest voicing I could to play a Lydian chord and play it as fat as possible, and then move the down sample to get like the video gamey effect. So yeah, all together then. Oh, and the drums. The drums are just, what are they doing here? We have the hi-hat pedal on the offbeat, and then a ride cymbal basically, and that's all. And then I'm kind of doing some faux ride or cymbal swells here with the samples like this, right? Because, you know, it's epic and all that, so we got to do it, right? That kind of thing. This is 2 ride cymbals panned left and right. So like on 2 sides of the kit, doing that. And we have a kick also, like kind of a subby kick that comes in right here. Right on the top, right when those C and D chords start to kind of accentuate the magic of it all. And that's the whole breakdown part. And that's the whole song, really. I mean, there's not much else to it. It's pretty short, of course. It's for a trailer. Mixing wise, there's like nothing going on. I mean, really, if you take a look at what I've got in here, I'm sending some stuff to buses. They've got a filter on it. There's EQs, removing lows, removing some stuff, some compressors. Honestly, there's like hardly anything happening. The amount of inserts on here is nothing. So I attribute the, don't forget to track your time. Thank you. The sound really just comes from the sound design. So choosing sounds that are appropriate to mix well together, that's all that's going on. I'm not spending so much time trying to polish something that wasn't working to begin with. I'm just trying to choose the best sounds I possibly can, get rid of what's not needed in those sounds using an EQ. If the volume is a little bit out of whack, use some compression. Otherwise, that's it. On the mix bus, I've got a compressor, a saturator, an EQ, and a limiter. That's it. The whole thing is just that. So yeah, very simple mix. The song came together quite easily, and yeah, I'm quite happy with it. I think it does the job really well and has a lot of interesting musical elements to it. All the instruments are just 2 omnispheres. One's running all the 8-bit sort of sounds, one's running the more real sort of sounds, sampled sounds, and then a bunch of serums playing all the synths, battery, and addictive drums, and that's it. So yeah, that's the whole beat. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something from that. At least it was entertaining, maybe, to listen to all the harmonies together and whatever. The course, like I said, is available now. It's available on Udemy. You can find the link in the description there. That link will give you a discount on the course as well if you want to learn to do this kind of thing. That's what I'm teaching. I mean, it's not teaching production. The course doesn't teach anything about production, in fact. It's just teaching universal music principles to do this kind of stuff with melody and harmony and rhythm and all the layering and blah, blah. That's what it really deals with. The course that is available now is part 1 of the course, and this is the trailer for part 1 of Musical Warp Drive, but there are future parts coming as well that deal with other musical topics like melody and harmony and rhythm and bass more specifically. Thank you everyone for your support, for watching, and for your encouragement. As always, I really appreciate all that, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you soon. You can always catch me streaming here on YouTube. Usually it's on Sundays at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I also have a Discord, which you can find in the description of this video, along with the course that we're talking about here. And I think that's it. Yeah, I'll talk to you very soon. Have a great day.